Dear students, today we are going to study food additives and cleansing agents. So first two more questions. What is food additive? So it is not a natural one, a chemical substance which will be added with food items to increase the life and the aroma of the food. So two more questions. Chemical substances like preservatives or artificial sweetening agents which will be added with food items to increase their life as well as aroma. So what are the common food additives? Aroma compounds. So this will be added to increase the fragrance or aroma of the food. Next, colors, artificial colors. So food colors can be added. Third one, the common preservative. To increase the shelf life of food, we add preservatives. Number 4, stabilizers. Number 5, sweetness. So artificial sweetness or sweetening agents. Then antioxidants. Then buffering substances. The last one, vitamins and the minerals. So you can see the packed items like a biscuit or any packed food items, and they will mention what are the ingredients. So along with the natural ingredients like sugar and edible oils, milk, along with that some artificial additives will be there. So these are all food additives. Next, two more question. What are the advantages of food additives? We take preservatives. Preservatives will reduce the spoilage of food, thereby it increases the shelf life of food items. Number 2, if there is a malnutrition, so due to lack of nutrients, we add vitamins and minerals with food items. Number 3, flavoring agents will increase the aroma of the food. And last one, antioxidants. Even you can see this in the ads of oil, edible oils and dals. They mentioned this is enriched with antioxidants, which represents what? The chemical substance which will prevent the oxidation of food items. So the oxidation of food is a chain reaction which will lead to cancer. So antioxidants are must. Along with natural, artificial antioxidants can also be added with the food items. So these are all the advantages of food additives. We are going to study 4 additives. Number 1, preservative. So preservatives are the compounds which will reduce the spoilage of food. So food can be spoiled by fermentation process or acidification process or decomposition by the growth of microorganisms. So all these have to be prevented so that in all food items we add preservative. Less quantity of preservative will be added. The common examples are benzoic acid and sorbic acid. So these acids and their salts are used as preservatives. So many examples are given in our book. So salt as well as salt of benzoic acid, sorbic acids are used as preservatives to kill the microorganisms like fungi, yeast and bacteria. The next example is alkyl esters of hydroxybenzoic acid, the derivative. Alkyl esters of hydroxybenzoic acid is highly effective as a preservative in less acidic conditions. Even in less acidic conditions, this will be highly effective in nature. Next one, acetic acid. Acetic acid is a very good preservative in the preparation of pickles as well as preserved vegetables. Next, sodium metasulfite. Sodium metasulfite is used as a preservative for fresh vegetables as well as fruits. Next example, sucrose esters. So esters of carboxylic acids like palmitic acid and stearic acid. So this is a natural fatty acid. So sucrose esters of palmitic acid and stearic acid are very good emulsifiers. So these chemical substances will be added as preservative, or we can follow any physical method like sterilization, pasteurization, freezing, dehydration. So we can follow some physical methods also like irradiation. Second additive, antioxidants. So this is a must. This substance prevents the oxidation of food. So oxidation of food will become a chain reaction so that it leads to damages in the cells. So a cancer will be possible due to the oxidation of food items. So we have antioxidants like BHT and BHA. So when these additives are added with food items, it prevents the oxidation. So first one, BHT means butyl hydroxytoluene. BHA means butylated hydroxyanisole. So these compounds will be added as antioxidants with the food items, and this will have more reactivity. So this will combine with the free radicals. So due to oxidation of food, free radicals are created. So when we take oil content food items, right? So the spicy, oily content food items will be taken. Due to oxidation, it produces more and more free radicals. So this will become a chain reaction. To prevent that, these antioxidants will combine with this. It will undergo oxidation. So there will be a reduction of oxidation of food. So cancer will be, the chance of cancer will be reduced. Two more examples are given. Sulfur dioxide as well as sulfides. Sulfur dioxide and sulfides are also used as food additives. So they are very good antioxidants, enzyme inhibitors, antimicrobial agents. With this second additive over, third additive, sugar substituents. So we use sucrose as a common sugar, right? So like a table salt, we use one more common substance. It's called sucrose. So instead of sugars, we can use some other chemical substances So we use sucrose, glucose as a sugars. Instead of these natural sweetening agents, we can add some other chemical substances like sorbitol and xylitol, mannitol. So these are sugar substituents. Instead of glucose or sucrose, we can use these chemical substances as sweeteners. Next, artificial sweeteners, the last one. So we have chemical substances which will increase the sweetness of food item. So you can take very less quantity. So instead of taking large quantity of sugar, you can take a less quantity of artificial sweetener. The sweetening will be increased. Example, saccharin. So this is the common one. Instead of sugar, when we take less quantity of saccharin, the sweetness will be increased. Some other examples: sucralose and aspartame as well as allium. These are all artificial sweeteners prepared in the laboratory. So with this, food additives over. Next, cleansing agents. So what are cleansing agents? Soaps and detergents. So these two are common cleansing agents. When we take soap, this is sodium or potassium salt of long chain fatty acids like palmitic acid. Soaps are sodium or potassium salt of fatty acids. Detergents are sodium salt of alkyl hydrogen sulfates, or it may be sodium salt of alkyl benzene sulfonic acids. One mark. Sodium salt of alkyl hydrogen sulfate or sodium salt of alkyl benzene sulfonic acids. So first we take soap. So preparation of soap we have already completed in lesson number 11, hydroxy compounds. So the reaction is Chapanification reaction. When triglyceride is added with sodium hydroxide, we get glycerol along with soap. So take Chapanification process. When we take sodium or potassium salt of fatty acids like palmitic acid, so take sodium palmitate. When it is treated with sodium hydroxides, we get glycerol with the liberation of soap. Right? So preparation we have already completed in lesson number 11. So after preparing the soap, you can add some other chemicals like perfumes and colors. So you can add it. Next, two more questions. What is TFM? So this is called total fatty matter. Define the term total fatty matter. So quality of a soap can be identified using the TFM value. Right? So TFM means we just add mineral acids with the soap. When mineral acid is added with the soap, how much total fatty matter obtained? That is called TFM. Okay. So according to BIS standards, we have soaps in different grades like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So according to this standard, when mineral acid is added with the soap, if you get 76% of fatty matter and the soap is having high so grade 1 will give you 76% of fatty matter. So this will have a good quality. And a grade 2 soap will give you 70% fatty matter with the mineral acids. Grade 3 will give you 60%. So based on TFM value, the quality of a soap can be easily identified. Next one, the mechanism. What is the cleansing mechanism? Take a soap. So this is palmitate ion. If sodium is here, sodium palmitate. Okay. So when we take a soap, there are two parts. One is hydrocarbon part, full of organic part, CH3, CH2, CH2, CH2 like that. So this is full of hydrocarbon part, and this is non-polar in nature. And at last we have carboxylate ion, COO minus, and this is polar in nature. So when we take a soap, there are two parts. Hydrocarbon part, which is non-polar, and its nature is hydrophobic in nature. It will repel the water. And take this carboxylate part, due to charge, which is polar in nature, so thereby it will be attached with the water molecule. So this is hydrophilic in nature. So hydrophobic hydrocarbon part and hydrophilic carboxylate part. So when soap is added with water, so we have a cloth with a dirt. So there may be dirts or greases and so on. So the dirty cloth is going to be washed using the soap. When soap is applied on the cloth in water, this non-polar hydrophobic part will be attached with the dirt, because dirt will be mostly organic molecules. Greases will be organic molecules. So this hydrophobic non-polar hydrocarbon part is organic in nature, so that this will be soluble in the dirts. So this will be attached with greases. Then the carboxylate part will face outside of that. So this will be attached with the water molecules. So the cloth with the dirts are soaked in the water. We are going to apply the soap. This part will be attached with the dirts, because this is soluble in organic part, greases and dirt. And this is hydrophilic in nature, so this is facing outside of that. And this will be attached with the water molecule. So it becomes a small droplet called micelles. Okay. When soap is applied on cloth, due to a different nature of a soap, it becomes a micelle. Right? So a small droplet is called a micelle, and this micelle will come out from the cloth. So the dirt will come along with this soap molecules, right? Because this is soluble in that, and which is a hydrophobic in nature, so that dirt molecules or the grease molecules will come out from the dirt, will come out from the cloth along with the soap. So they are coming out as a droplets. We call them as micelles. And this will have carboxylate part, which is facing towards the water molecule. So micelles will not combine together. All these small droplet micelles will not form a larger molecule, because all the micelles will have carboxylate part. So due to same charge, due to same negative charge, micelles will repel each other. So we will get only small droplets, micelles. This will not form a larger molecule. So thereby easily dirt can be removed from the cloth. This is the mechanism of soap. The same mechanism is applicable for the detergents. Mechanism is the same, but comparing soaps, the cleansing nature of detergent will be more. Right? So detergents can be used even in hard water as well as acidic solutions. So their cleansing action will be more, but mechanism same. Right? So what are the common detergents? So we have three type of detergents: anionic detergent, cationic detergent, and non-ionic detergent. So three type of detergents are there. Examples: anionic detergent, example SDS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Cationic detergent, example N-hexadecyl, trimethyl ammonium chloride. So this is common name. We have UPOC name also. One more question. UPOC name of cationic detergent and anionic detergent examples. Non-ionic detergent example: penta, erythritol, stearate. So these are common detergents. So cleansing nature of soap and detergent will be same, mechanism will be same, but ability will be more for detergents than the soaps. So soaps are sodium or potassium salt of long chain fatty acids like palmitic acid. Detergents are the sodium salt of alkyl hydrogen sulfates or alkyl benzene sulfonic acids. These are important one more questions. So with this today's class over. Next we have to start polymers. Right? Thank you.